Listen closely to this sharp-edged soundscape. This is not ordinary metal noise. This is a measurement of fatigue strength, written by mechanical history. You are standing before a gigantic, horizontal Danish power unit weighing tens of tons. Every heavy load stroke from a piston nearly half a meter in diameter makes the ground under the foundation tremble. Welcome back to the engine history. Today, put the glossy electronics-driven machines off to the side. We are going straight into a soot-filled engine room. We will taste the bitter bite of diesel sludge. We will feel the brutal heat radiation rolling off cast iron walls that have been working for more than a century. Get ready. We are about to strip down and ignite the iron and steel giants that once carried the load of lighting old churches back in the 1880s. Why can power units like Deutz MAH 914 or Hat's E85G still bite hard and run clean after 70 years out in the weather? The answer sits in an extreme minimalist design philosophy. No electric starter, no finicky electronics that flash fault codes. These engines survive on compression pressure ratio, a lubrication film, and the violent inertia of ton-heavy cast iron flywheels. This was an era when iron and steel were machined as one piece to grind down time itself. If you love watching raw mechanical drivetrains and want to help the team preserve these teardown and load test specs, hit subscribe to the Engine History. Your follow is the highest pressure oil this team needs to keep hunting and hauling these super heavy cast iron artifacts back to the workshop for real testing. Priming an inland marine-style power unit like an industry diesel cast in 1951 is a brutal hand strength test. In the footage, you will see an old hand worker pumping thick oil by hand into every bearing clearance. They keep pumping until the pressure gauge climbs past the safe mark. That is life insurance for the bearing shells. Right beside it sits a Tuxum semi-diesel built in 1932. This one forces the crew to clamp on a petrol blowtorch and heat the hothead combustion chamber until it glows. They do it for a full 10 minutes. The smell of half-burned diesel residue mixes with the scent of thermally expanding steel and floods the workshop the moment the engine locks into its governed speed. Standing tight to the test stand, you get the full face hit of that harsh chemical smoke with every gray plume spat out of the open exhaust. The peak torsional force today lands on a 67-liter Danish engine. With a cylinder that massive, nobody can spin the flywheel by muscle. So the crew wrings every bit of high-pressure compressed air and blasts it straight into the cylinder to force the first strokes into motion. That pressure hammers down onto the crankshaft and makes a multi-ton steel block shudder and roar. But machining is not only about violent load. Look at the Wilhelm Friedenhagen unit cast in 1877, running on the principle of external thermal expansion. No sharp, explosive bark. It works with pure, stubborn rotation, driven by the temperature difference moving through the cylinder wall. This design seals the core mindset of 19th century engineers. Those old masters already knew how to harness hot air to produce smooth, usable torque without burning fuel inside the cylinder. Walk across the test yard and you will see a Volvo Penta MD1, built to push waves, now holding steady speed to drive an ice cream mixer. Right next to it, a small ferryman diesel at 6 horsepower strains under load to power a set of classic filament bulbs. Whether it is a Calbee KL110, revived after 30 years under a tarp, or a steady workhorse like a Jenbacher JW15, they all share one final spec. The stubborn endurance of one-piece steel is built to work and keep working. The oil stains spread across the floor. The heat blasts off the castings. The hard-edged exhaust notes spitting smoke. That is the steel ledger recording fatigue and wear across centuries of load. Thanks for staying with the team in the smoke and metal dust while we measured today's machines. In your view, as teardown people, do you respect the compressed air start numbers of the 67-liter Giant more, or the smooth, governed pull of the external expansion engine more? Drop your call in the comments so the shop crew can dig into it with you. See you in the next teardown and load test session on the engine history.